Hey guys, it's Alana and welcome back for another episode of Seeing Other People. All right, I think this is the first episode in August. Holy shit, it is August. Welcome to August. You know what we're going to do for August? We're going to go out with a bang or in with a bang, I guess. I don't know. This episode is absolutely incredible. I am so honored to have the one and only Serena Kerrigan, or Serena fucking Kerrigan, on Seeing Other People and in the Seeing Other People family now. I know that I always talk about how every episode comes back to communication, but I've also been realizing that beyond communication and dating, there's one other huge aspect that really impacts our dating lives, and that is our confidence. And the confidence with going on dates or even starting conversations with people and feeling confident after a date that it went well and not second guessing. And so I brought Serena here to talk to us about confidence because if you don't know, Serena is the absolute queen of confidence. And if you do know, just wait, your mind is going to be blown. She has so much insight and amazing advice to give. So we're going to cover confidence on dating apps, confidence on dates, confidence when it comes to sex, and just confidence in your daily life too. And I am just going to get right into it because she is, this episode is gold. It's truly gold. So let's bring it in. Let's bring it into the episode. I can't even speak anymore. I'm going to shut up. All right. And we are here with the one, the only SFK, Serena fucking Kerrigan. Welcome to Seeing Other People.
Let's fucking go. I'm
Let's
happy to be
fucking
here.
go. I'm so excited to have you. And I know the Seeing Other People listeners freaked out when I said that you were coming on. So this is going to be great.
Yay. I'm excited.
Yeah. So why don't you start by introducing yourself? I know you're the creator of Let's Fucking Date and now the new card game Let's Fucking Fuck, which is amazing. I'm obsessed with it. But I think I would love to set the stage with a little bit of background of how you ended up doing what you're doing now. I know you are all about exuding confidence, but you weren't always confident. And that's a huge thing that comes along with dating and that the Seeing Other People listeners sometimes struggle with. So I'd love to hear how you ended up getting to the place you are now as a person, as someone crushing it in her career and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, really, like I never thought I was going to go into the dating space. Like that was never something if you would have told me I would have a dating show during a global pandemic and a card game that I sold 20,000 decks of, I would be like, you literally like are confused. But now when I think about it, and I actually recently, my mom moved and she had all this stuff in, her apartment that she gave to me. And like, I just have like so many diaries, like so many journal entries talking about boys, talking about who's hooking up, who is kissing each other in middle school or who liked each other. And like, I was always very in like just observant, and also like analyzing things from a very, very young age, like very aware of gender roles and, the double standard that girls would face versus boys. And none of it's actually surprising at all, right? Like I'm so actually like meant to be in this space. And I really, I was a producer at Refinery 29. I did I produced so much content for them. And one of the shows that I did was called Taboo. And I really would just interview people about taboo topics. And I realized that nothing's taboo, really. Like everything should be discussed and communicated in a healthy way, obviously, but that people shouldn't feel ashamed about who they are, whether if they had an abortion or they live at home or they pee in the shower or whatever. Like they should feel very free in telling and removing when you talk about yourself and your issues, your insecurities, like you remove shame from it because you realize that other people relate to you. And so that's when I really realized that I had this kind of gift to make people feel confident in sharing their story. And I also was a very insecure young woman, and I created this persona for myself that worked, that I created Serena fucking Kerrigan, where I really would just kind of have this dialogue with myself. And I realized that talking to yourself like your best friend is the way to become confident, because that's what you would, with anyone you love, you just nurture them, you lift them up. You're a bad bitch, right? Like we do that with everyone in our lives but ourselves. So kind of meshing those two together, I became the queen of confidence. I just declared that one day. And I was like, my goal is to make women realize that they are the main character of their lives. And then, I quit my job in February 2020. And then I was left in March, alone in my apartment and also feeling very just kind of questioning my identity in terms of being this empowerment, like this person preaching empowerment and being like, you can be single and happy, when I felt very anxious that I was alone. Like I think a lot of people felt that way, and I felt very isolated, and all my friends and their boyfriends were jetting off to the Hamptons with their country houses because they thought it was going to be like, a couple months. And it really kind of kicked into gear that like, how was I going to help solve loneliness in this pandemic? And part of that was this show that I created called Let's Fucking Date. I dated 50 men in a year. I'm still single. And from that, I really realized that, like you said, dating has everything to do with yourself. Like you can't date until you've dated yourself and you feel truly like in love with yourself first. If not, you're just going to settle for less than you deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love so many different parts of everything you just said. First of all, I feel the same way where I never expected to end up in the dating world and having a podcast about dating. And I always say, if anyone told me that a few years ago, I would laugh so hard because that was like the farthest thing from anything that could have happened. But similarly to you, I started to, when I was working at Hinge, I started to talk about my dating experiences and open up a little bit about them, even though they were hard to open up about, even though I felt ashamed of some things. And I felt like I was so lonely and had experienced such deep struggles. But what I realized was as I opened up about them, people started coming to me being like, thank you for saying that. Right. I thought I was the only one going through this. And now I feel so much less alone. And so, I mean, I really love everything you're doing. And I think you have helped so many people and you've come such a long way too. And it's amazing to see.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you kind of being in that position in the beginning of 2020, like sitting there alone and like exuding confidence, but then being like, but I feel anxious. I don't feel amazing. Like, I think talking about that and also realizing that was probably a really eye-opening thing for you and for everyone to kind of start that journey with you and now be where we all are now. And I do think the pandemic actually gave people the chance to really sit down and say like, do I like my own company? Like, can I actually love myself? And to figure out why or why not. And if not, to kind of take that time to do that. And I think a lot of people really did grow a bit stronger and started to love themselves more through this like isolation and loneliness.
Definitely.
Yeah. So a few different aspects I would love to break down about confidence. And I really want this episode to focus on confidence when it comes to dating. So the overarching thing being dating, but confidence when it comes to being on dating apps, and then confidence when it comes to getting out on dates, and then also confidence when it comes to talking about sex and getting into sexual experiences that maybe you're not that comfortable with yet. And so I think I'd love to kind of start at the basics with dating app confidence. And I know some people really struggle with like when or when not to like make the first move on a dating app, or who they should go out with on a dating app, or if their profile even is exuding confidence. So I would love some insight from you just on where to start with dating apps. Like, let's say somebody is like getting back on a dating app after a long time of being not out in the game. What would you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, I like deleted all my dating apps and literally recreated them from scratch because I started dating apps like years and years ago. And so all these matches, and it's like weird to when you match with someone and it fizzles out to go back. And I also realized that, the image that I was showing of myself was this very like glam SFK, just bad bitch, which I'm not trying to say that I should be anything less than that. But I think that when it comes to a dating app, you have 3 seconds to get someone's attention. And so I picked like a very soft iPhone photo. I'm wearing no makeup, smiling, and it's proven like that was my first photo because it's like something very approachable. I think that that comes up a lot. Like, how do I get guys to approach me? It's like smile, literally, like look welcoming, look nice. Right. And like when I'm like with like my hair extensions and all this glam in a photo, guys are like, fuck this. I'm not dating Lady Gaga. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that that's one. It's like you want to have a really like well lit, just beautiful, soft, nice photo of you. First photo. I'm not really a big fan of group photos. I think like you could do one because people aren't here to date your friends. They're here to date you. If you want to show you have friends, sure. But like I think that's ridiculous. Like everyone has friends, but whatever, it's fine. I think no sunglasses. No dead animals. I think it really can show you like in just different, like maybe like I have one with my mom, I have one with 2 friends. And then I have like one of me like dressed up in a nice restaurant, one of me kind of laid back, one of me traveling. So it's like to kind of just show like my vibe. But, and I think my prompts are kind of self-deprecating. I think one of my prompts is about like the fact that I love to dance. Another one, like on a dance floor, very on brand. Another one's the fact that like I'm from Argentina. It's like something no one would guess about me, that my mom is from Argentina and that I speak Spanish fluently. My whole family's from there. And then honestly, like, this is not going to be relatable to a lot of your audience, but you know, the problem I had myself with dating apps after the pandemic was that, like, you know, the first thing you do when you match with someone on a dating app is you go to their Instagram, like hopefully if it's open. And my Instagram is my job.
Right.
And my best friends, like, their Instagram isn't their job. Their Instagram is normal Instagram from, like, you know, so it's a little unfair that because they're seeing this persona, they're seeing, you know, the girl that is helping and empowering people and having a card game, talking about sex and normalizing that. That's my work. And so the issue that I had was that people would just kind of like see the Instagram and be like, this is not, you know, she's loud, and I am loud, but I'm much more subdued and like with, you know, on a date or with friends, or like it's literally my job, right?
Yeah,
my alter ego. So I like made my first prompt like don't judge my Instagram. Oh, sorry, like it's something like oh God, I can't remember off the top of my head. This is on my Hinge. It's something like my Instagram is different than who I really am. Like, judge me in real life, essentially.
Yeah.
Which, like, some people would say, like, you're kind of like adding focus, but I'm like, but no, like, I'm just saying, like, I'm aware that this is different than what you got. But anyway, in terms of confidence on the apps, I think, like, to me, I see the people on apps as avatars until I meet them in real life. I do not think that they're real. I don't overthink it. I don't care. Like, these people are swiping through so many people. Like, until I meet you face to face, like, you're not a real person to me. And I don't mean that in like a negative way. I mean that in like a literally nothing matters. Yeah. So like, reach out if you want to reach out. Like, I do let the men make the first move in terms of asking where to go. But like, in terms of a conversation, like, I like respond to a prompt. Like, I don't care. I don't think that matters at all. I also think the number one thing about dating is, like, when you go on a date, it's a conversation. And you have conversations all the time. So if you can get on a fucking Zoom or on a podcast or literally like in an Uber, like, you can have a conversation. So you can definitely go on a date. And I think the way that I approach dating is like, nothing matters. Like, you either get a free drink, a free meal, an orgasm, God willing, you know, or you never see them again, but you know, you learn something about yourself, or you learn how to be a better dater, or like you learn about a new restaurant. Like, there's literally nothing to lose other than probably getting kidnapped and killed. But like, let's just take that out there for a second. Like, nothing fucking matters. And I think that people put so much weight on a date, and I'm like, you don't even know this person. You know what I mean? And so I think it's really about to be like, it is what it is. And also, like, I also think nerves is a good thing. It means that you care and like you want to care about things in your life. So I just like wouldn't take it so seriously. You know, that's really what I think.
I really like that strategy of thinking of like, they're all avatars, they're not people until you meet them, because I know sometimes we build up this whole story in our head where like we're checking our first name with their last name before we even get on the date. And that builds so much pressure. That makes it seem like this date is life or death when like you might not even like them.
Oh, and by the way, this is why in my dating show, my number one rule always was, I never ever want to know who's going to be on the other side of the screen.
Loves that.
My dating show was an Instagram live dating show. So I had a producer and I hired them from the jump. I never knew. It was always blind. Why? Because I do believe you go into a date with all these preconceived notions about who they are. You don't fucking know who they are. Like literally you don't know who they are at all. Like they could say they're from New York City, but they're really from New Jersey. Like you just don't know. It's not real. The internet isn't real. Also, texting isn't real. Why? Because when a guy texts me, you bet your ass he's not texting me. He's texting 20 other girls that have screenshotted and read the text and were concocting the perfect answer. Like, a date is the face-to-face, like nothing else vibe. It's about dialogue. Like literally that is what it is. Like every single person that I know that's in a relationship is like, it was just like time flew by and we didn't even realize. Like I went on a first date recently and it took us an hour to order dinner because we never even looked at the menu. Like, and I, by the way, no expectations, like didn't even want to go on the date, like almost try to cancel an hour before. Right. That's how little I like let myself even like, I'm just like, this is not a real human being.
Yeah. Were you always like that? Did you always have that mindset, or did you used to overthink and you had to like retrain yourself?
I just like never been like, I'm just like my personality type. I just don't think works like with the apps. Like I'm just good live, like period. Right. Like in my work too, like I'm live on the off the cuff person. When I'm given a chance to second guess myself, that's when I like texting guys. Like I'm terrible at it and I'm very short. And like, I'm like, if you want to talk to me, see me in person because like, I don't like, there's the possibility of answers and the right response and the minutes passed, but like it's too, texting is a problem. I really think texting is a big problem about dating, because ultimately like that's not how you fall in love with someone. Like that's not how you get to know someone. You get to know someone by like literally like body language, physical, like words, articulation. That is really body, like that chemistry that comes from seeing him. And by the way, that also comes virtually. Like my dating show, like you could tell if I had chemistry with someone right off the jump. Yeah. But you wouldn't tell if we had chemistry if we were texting. Maybe good banter, but banter is bullshit because you don't know who's on the other side of the screen.
Exactly. Banter doesn't actually say anything about who you are. It just says that you can respond with something witty. You know what else helps you be confident? That's right, not feeling anxious. And you know what helps you feel not anxious? Mindset Wellness CBD, obviously. But for real, I really think that my dating life, current success right now, I can credit to Mindset Wellness CBD. And like I've said, I think I've taken their calm gummies after dates and after any dating experience that I've had. And it has really helped me to not overthink and to not feel like, oh no, how did the date just go? Or what are they going to text me next? And I think that that is like the greatest thing in the world. If taking an actual gummy can make you not think about that, like why wouldn't you do that? If you have not tried the calm gummies yet, mindsetwellnesscbd.com. Of course, code Seeing Other People will get you 10% off and free shipping. Do not sleep on the calm gummies, you guys. They are life-changing. They're game-changing. They are dating-changing. Yeah, I do think that the whole texting chemistry thing is a really big problem in today's like dating world, because we put so much weight on it. Like, oh, like, is the date going to go well based on how we're texting? Or like when they texted you after the date and in between the dates, like, does that mean that it's going to work out or not? And sometimes like you might have the best date ever. And then they might be someone who does not text, and you might be the biggest texter in the world. So you end up thinking, oh my God, like they're not texting me. They hate me. The date like sucked in their mind. And then you kind of self-sabotage because of the story you created in your head that was fake because the date was great.
And I'm telling you, like, I went on this really great date and he's an amazing texter, and he was texting me like, did not care, triple, quadruple text, like great all the time, ask me. And I'm not like that. Like, I don't, like, first of all, I'm so fucking busy. And also like, I just don't think it's real. And so like my friends were like, whoa, you're coming off very like uninterested. I'm like, I am so interested, but like, if you want my attention, like take me on a fucking date.
Yeah. Do you ever preface that being like, I might not text back, but like, I want to see you again? Or like, I'm not a good texter, but this was great.
Honestly, like I try, I just like don't realize, like, I think that when I think sometimes like less is more, but like, I'm telling you, like, you know, I'm having this issue. Like it's an issue. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm very overwhelmed by it. And I'm like, fuck this. Like, it's like bottom line, if someone wants to see you, they will see you. Like, that's what I've learned. Like, it's just, it's that simple. And like, we create all these excuses and we like spiral and we think, oh my God, we didn't text enough. We didn't do enough. Like, the right person, like, isn't going to give a fuck. Like, it's not gonna care, like, at all. You know what I mean? So I think that that's something that I've had to experiences recently where like I've gotten like straight up ghosted. Like, I've never gotten like really like we had a plan and like texted nothing, like ghost, right? Like that was a first. I was like, whoa.
Which is crazy that that's still happening.
Insane. And then especially because he lives in my neighborhood. So I bumped into him, like he's walked by me multiple times and I'm like, I just like,
oh my God,
I can't. And then the second one, it's like, you know, someone who's like super busy and like they work at a really intense job. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But then I'm kind of like, well, like, I don't know. Like, I can't, it's really hard to gauge. And it's like, I'm thinking of all the things like, well, if I only done this or that. And I'm like, no, fuck this. Like, I can't. Like, you can't. And they always come back. They always come back.
They always come back.
It's so crazy.
I know. It's like, it's such a mind fuck too.
No, it's crazy.
Because it's also like, it's a matter of like, when are they coming back? And you don't know.
No,
and
if
only you had that date on the calendar.
No, but that's a thing though, right? Like, and I actually like was talking about this last night. Like, so this weekend I was in the Hamptons and a guy tapped me on the shoulder, and it was a guy I went out on a date with literally 3 or 4 years ago. I still was living at home with my mom. And I just like, we went on such an amazing date and it's such a great time. And then he like texted me asking for a second date. I remember it was summer, and summer's the worst with dating because people are always in the Hamptons or around or wherever. You're not from New York. They're always somewhere in Nantucket. I don't give a shit, like traveling.
Yeah.
And so, it kind of like fizzled out, and I let them lead. Like if a guy wants to see you, he's going to want to see you. So it's a good barometer to see if he does. And then I just never heard from him again. And like, I always kind of in the back of my mind was like, damn, like was I on a different, because I think that the thing is, it's like when you think a date goes really well and then it doesn't advance, the issue is like you begin to spiral because you're like, am I well? Like,
am I delusional if I thought that went well, but they clearly didn't. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like you're questioning your sanity and also like your ability to gauge if a date was good. And it's really a mind fuck because you're like, wait. So obviously like 3 years passed by. I literally barely remember this person anymore, but he taps me on the shoulder. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, what happened? And he was like, I got back together with my ex-girlfriend. That's why. And like, I just like, and then I moved and whatever. And I'm back and he asked me out and I literally was like flat out like, no, you snooze, you lose. Like, next.
Hell yeah. Love that.
But like, and I probably would have, but like, I really am not interested anymore. Yeah. But someone said to me, well, if they always come back, then is it worth waiting? And I'm like, literally.
You can't wait.
No.
You can't wait.
Like,
no.
Because also like, we always say they always come back, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, that guy's definitely not going to be coming back. But he did. So I'm like, and like my ex-boyfriend is currently going to probably marry his current girlfriend. But I'm like, but if they ever get divorced, I bet you he'll come back. And I said, and I'm curious what your opinion is of this. Like, what is the reason? And one of my friends said, because of familiarity. Like, I think that especially men, heterosexual men, when they break up, like they're much needier than women a lot. So they need that, like they want to go, when they break up, they need to go to, someone else, like their mommy or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that they go to someone familiar. What are your thoughts?
No, I totally agree. And I think that it's something like I think women after a breakup kind of tend to shut down a little more, but guys are like, no, I need to find this from somewhere else that I know I can get it, whether it's that sense of security or just comfort.
Or validation.
Exactly. But for women, we're more likely to like either want to kind of curl up into a ball and like cry or talk about it with our friends. But we're not going to go like, for the most part, obviously everyone's different, but we're not going to go like, okay, let's find this person I hooked up with a year and a half ago that like it didn't totally end with. And I could probably like ping them. Like what?
Never.
Who thinks of that?
Like,
no.
Never.
No.
And that's so interesting, the difference between men and women in dealing with breakups and feeling like, I remember when my ex broke up with me, my first love, like he was like on a rampage because he was in college. So I obviously had spies everywhere. And I was like, I can even like fathom hooking up with someone else. No. And he's like fucking everything that has a vagina. No. And I realized it's like, but then 3 months later, I'm good.
And he's a mess.
Yep.
So it is weird. The timelines are so different and the opposite, but in the end, we end up being in a better place because we took care of our emotions rather than like pushing them aside for them to be like, hello, I'm still here.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's difficult when, I think that's, and it really goes back to confidence. It's like, the guy goes to me and then this other guy who I super hit it off with kind of weirdly something happened. I think like, this is so tea, like for everyone's like, it was just too good. And then all of a sudden it kind of like, it was a little bit of a sudden stop for no reason, really. Like it was all great. Like we had plans, whatever. And it's just like, it's so easy, to take it personally. Like, it's just, it's so easy to be like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to find anyone. Like, and even SFK has those moments. Like I did, like, I remember being like, oh my God, like I'm never going to have a husband. I'm going to have to do in vitro, which like, fuck yeah, that we can even do that. That's incredible. But I was like, I'm definitely going to raise a kid with my mom because she's my best friend and like, fuck it, like I'm fucked. And then like no, like literally no, but I think like if I'm having that kind of spiral anxiety, I can't even, and I love myself and I am worthy of someone. I will find someone. Like I can only imagine like how the first thought is just immediately like you did something wrong. You're not good enough. When really, truly, usually maybe they didn't like you that much, but like if the date was so fucking good and amazing and that like everything was great, I think there's usually always an ex involved or something. Yeah. I just always think there's an ex involved.
I agree. And Jonah, who used to co-host the show, shout out Jonah. Yes. Shout out Jonah. We miss you. But Jonah always would say that there's always an ex involved if someone just disappears, like every time without fail.
I don't fuck with any of my exes. Is that a female thing or is that like, what is that?
I don't know.
Like, I think there's no ex on mine involved, like period.
But could it be like an ex thing and not like, I mean, we all have a million exes who we didn't actually date,
So many.
Yeah. One thing I want to bring up to you, because similar to what we were just talking about, and I wasn't planning on talking about this, but and I actually haven't even told it. people really this, but about a month ago, I saw something happen that made me say like, wow, like what's wrong with me? Why am I not good enough? And I'm in like a great relationship now with somebody who I met in the beginning of this year. And I'm like so confident in our relationship and I'm so happy. And it's like a really healthy relationship, which is also a new thing for me.
Great.
Thank you. Huge accomplishment. Never thought I'd get there, but I saw on Instagram, my ex posted out of nowhere in June, happy 1 year to this girl, love you. And I was like, what the fuck? This kid has not posted a single thing with the girl in the past year. And less than a year and a half ago, he was telling me that he still couldn't be in a relationship. And if he was going to be in a relationship with anyone, it would be me. And now clearly this started a few months after he said that to me. And it just felt like the biggest punch in the gut and like slap in the face where it's like, he for so long said like, he didn't have time for a relationship because of work and all of these things. And I mean, I felt really guilty for like being upset about seeing this because everything, like I'm so happy with my boyfriend now.
Okay. They can exist. They can coexist.
But it's just like, it really made me feel terrible about myself where it's like, okay, well, he can love this girl and be in a relationship with this girl. And I mean, it was also just shocking because I didn't think he was dating anyone. And then suddenly it's like happy 1 year, but how do we not take that personally? Because
this is why. And this is fundamentally what it comes down to, because he didn't like you that much. Like he just didn't, like that's what it is. But that doesn't mean you're not likable. Those are two very different things. And for example, on my show, I never ended up with someone. And that was my choice. I specifically, season 1 ended, I picked myself as the winner. Season 2 ended, I picked myself as the winner. Season 3 ended, the audience picked a winner, and then I broke up with him. So, and this is why, and by the way, was a single guy on the show, there's maybe two out of the 50 guys that were actually pricks and like shouldn't be dating anyone.
Yeah.
48 of them, amazing guys, incredible guys that I'm friends with so many of them, literally had literally hung out with them, gone out with them, like text them all the time. Like literally incredible guys, but they just weren't for me.
Right.
So that's what it is. Think about all the people that you have gone on dates with that were great, just not your type or not for you. And it's much more difficult when it's someone you've had history with, but that's why it is so fucking important to develop this confidence, to become your best friend and your biggest ally. Because if your best friend walked in the room, and said, I'm so upset, like he was willing to be in a relationship with her and not me, what would you say to her? That's what you have to say to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, I think like we're so afraid of not being liked, but then like, how many people do you not like? So many.
Right.
It's not a reflection. You just don't really fuck with them now. It's okay. You don't want to like hang out with them at, like for 4 hours. It's fine. So I think that that's really like how you have to see it. And ultimately like you are going to find a fuck yes, and the whole thing about the work thing is like something that I grappled with, like, because I'm also super busy. So I respect a hustle. I respect ambition. And like, I respect people in really tough jobs that like are willing to make sacrifices. But then there's this line where I'm like, well, is this the job or is this an excuse? And I have a very difficult time discerning between the two.
And I've dated a lot of people who work in the entertainment industry, specifically in the music industry, and they all seem to have this idea of like they can't be in a relationship until they are like at the peak in their career. And like, I don't know. I just always think of it as like you can have both. Why not have somebody support you through it?
So this is the thing. My psychiatrist told me this when I was in high school, which is random because I literally was jobless. But he said to me, you cannot begin a relationship with someone until both of you are settled in your careers. And I think that, so I like, find that interesting because it's like, well, what does settled mean? Because I think for some, like settled might mean like you're in a job that you like. Okay, it's not the peak, but like you feel good, like you're on your way. Maybe for others, especially men who so much of their career is tied to their masculinity and their sense of self and their identity. And if they're manly enough or whatever, might need to feel more, and then this is another issue that I have dating where it's like, I have a business, like I have a team, like I built it in a year, like I have a successful product, like I'm on television, like I'm killing it. And I know I am because that's all I've ever wanted in my life was to literally crush my career. And this has been years in the making. But like for someone my age who might be an associate or an analyst or whatever the fuck, it might actually be more of a problem than I realize. Because I don't care. But like, so everyone's like, date older, Serena. Like today, my Pilates instructor was like, you should just date, like you should become a stepmom, like a little bit like Meredith Blake from Parent Trap energy.
Yeah. Hey, it could work. You never know.
You never know. But I think that the whole concept, and I believe, and you're right, like Barack Obama and Michelle, like they both had careers, they both support each other through it. But I wonder if like, you know, you really need to feel like you have momentum.
Yep.
And I think
you have to feel like proud of where you are and like you're on the right track.
Guys at 27, at least I don't think are feeling that way yet. I think, you know, most people in their 20s aren't. I think it's really their 30s. That's why everyone says date, like start really getting serious in your 30s.
Yeah, I do keep hearing now more than ever that like your 30s are the new 20s.
100%.
Which I feel like I'm 26. I feel like if I'd heard that a few years ago when I was in my early 20s, I'd be like, oh, they're just making that up. Like they're just trying to like make themselves feel better, people in their 30s. But like, no, I really do think like, especially the world we're in now, like people are really taking the time to figure out who they are as they get older and what they want. And I think that's an amazing thing.
I mean, life is short. You have one life. Like you are, you know, if you are someone who's looking to get married, you will be virtually in a relationship for the later half of your life. So your 20s are your only time to discover who you truly are, especially if you're planning on having children. And that's why, like, when I grapple, like, that's the thing that I have. It's like, I know, like, I'm so fine. The fact that I'm single at 27 and I literally have no regrets, period. Mm-hmm. And I literally would like to actually explore the next 3 years until my 30s being single. But like the societal pressure telling me like, no, like, you know, that's people are getting married. Like you should be, you know, that's the problem. But like, I will get married and I will get everything that I want. But I think that this time of self-exploration is unbelievably so special and something you'll never get back. And you want to just like really figure out who you are and build that confidence within yourself first.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, so one thing I wanted to talk to you about, because a lot of people reached out with this question, is how do you suggest people go about getting back out there after having their heart broken? Because when you start dating again after a breakup or some type of like traumatic experience, like your confidence is ultimately at an all-time low. And so what advice would you have for anyone who feels like nobody's going to like them, or who feels like even just going on the date is like such a mountain to climb, you know?
I mean, ultimately, like, are you really going to let one experience or one person define the rest of your life? Like, because one person broke your heart, now everyone's going to break your heart. Like, one person was rude to you on the subway, so now everyone is rude. Like, bullshit. Like, yes, that was shitty, but I ultimately believe, and I was absolutely devastatingly heartbroken when I was broken up with my first year in New York, freshman year in New York, when I graduated college. And it was my first love, and it was a horrible breakup. Like, I got dumped at a wedding. It was like Claire. It wasn't my wedding, thank God. But anyway, I'm like, could not have been more. I would literally like kiss him, not in a non-sexual romantic way.
Like for breaking up with you, yeah.
Because that's when I literally got my career. Like I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like I fucking looked amazing. Revenge body. Let's fucking go. I had the best time with my friends in New York City instead of being weighed down by a kid who was still in college. Like, that was the biggest blessing in my life. And I do believe you have to just keep telling yourself rejection is redirection. And it's with everything too. Like I, you know, recently pitched a project and I was super excited. It took a year to develop. And I got news literally today that like, it isn't moving forward at this time. And I think that the young Serena would have been sobbing. This was my one chance, but I'm like, no problem. That means something else is going to be so much fucking better.
Hell yeah.
Once I got interviewed by the New York Times, and it was the best interview of my life. It was during COVID about my show. And, you know, shit just hit the fan and they killed the article. And instead of crying about it, being like, this is my one opportunity, I just go, okay, I guess next time I'm going to be on the front fucking page cover, full blown photo of me. It's going to be an even better article. And what that did too, by the way, not getting that article was made me, and I'm just using this as an analogy, but it really works with everything. It's like made me go after Forbes, NBC, like Today, Post, Vogue, but see, if I got the New York Times, which is my dream, would I have tried for all those other publications? Probably not.
Right. And would it have felt good when you got all those other ones? Probably not as good, you know? Yeah. Right. I would have been like,
There you go. So that's the same thing with a breakup with dating. It's like, you have to believe, and this is why it always comes back to what you deserve and what you believe you deserve. You have to talk to yourself like your best friend in the mirror when you're feeling that low and being like, Tom broke up with me, like no one's gonna love me, blah. Well, like what if like your best friend said that? Would you look at her and be like, you're fucking insane? Like of course someone's gonna love you. Literally that same conversation, you have to regurgitate it and say it to yourself in the mirror. And I don't give a shit if you think it's weird. It's a lot of things that we do are weird. Okay, we live in a patriarchal society.
Every single thing that we do is fucking weird. We just have to do it.
They were decided by white men. Okay, so this is something that wasn't. This was decided by women. Okay, speaking yourself in the mirror. You got to do it. You got to normalize it. It's free. It's painless, but it will change your entire self. Okay. So that's one. And then, in terms of like, just, you got to bite the bullet. Like there's a lot of things that you've done that you don't like doing. I didn't like taking the SATs. I didn't like getting a pap smear. Like there's just things I didn't like doing in my life, but I did them. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you just got to get it over with. And I also believe that when it rains, it pours. Like, I think like, I've noticed that like when I get one date, all of a sudden I have 10 more dates lined up. Like you're putting out that energy into the universe that you're accepting and like receiving that like abundance. And I know that sounds like hocus pocus, but it's so fucking true. Like when I've like been like fixated on one guy, then all of a sudden like there's no dates and the guy shrivels up and disappears. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? But then when I started saying yes and accepting and opening and inviting, that's when I'm kind of on a high. And then that's when you find success. You just have to keep dating. I dated 50 men in 2020. Okay. So, you got to just keep going.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I think it's really about looking at experiences as a positive. Okay. This relationship didn't work out. It wasn't a fuck yes. I deserve only a fuck yes. I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want me. So now it's the great, exciting chapter to find out what else is out there. And there's literally now for women, no time limit. You freeze your fucking eggs. And like, if you can, obviously like, I know it's expensive, but I think like that was the thing that would weigh on women. Like, and also felt we couldn't work. Yeah, women literally had to get married to have a life. Now we get to work and we get to like, and make our own money. And so it's like, if dating isn't for you right now in this very moment, then focus at your career because men come and go, but your career is yours and no one can take that away from you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what you said about like going on the date and then more will come. It's like, just get yourself on that one date. Like one date is that hump that you need to get over to then be like, literally. Oh, that was fine. Like that was no big deal.
And that's with everything in your life. Like my dating show or your podcast, it just took that one episode. And then once you started, you're good. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Even when Jonah and I went our separate ways and he went to focus on the other stuff going on in his career, I was terrified to do this on my own. And what I did, thank you. I booked 5 episode recordings in 1 week because I was like, I just need to do it so I can show myself that I can do it. And I had the best fucking time. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. I so can do this. I got this. And 100%. I was really nervous, but you just like you said, like everything in life, you got to throw yourself into it. All right. Let's talk about confidence when it comes to sex, which is something that a lot of people don't have. I mean, I know I was even talking to a friend recently where we were saying how it takes us a little bit longer to feel like comfortable with people. And like, we really have to feel comfortable with someone before having sex with them. And she brought up like, even for her, it was more that like, she's not confident about her body. So like, why would she ever want to take her clothes off in front of somebody if she's not happy with herself? And I think like, that's just one example, but I think there are so many different examples of things that kind of shatter our confidence when it comes to sex, and whether it's inexperience or bad experiences or just being afraid to talk about what we want and what we like. Obviously you just released Let's Fucking Fuck, the card game, which I think is an amazing tool to talk about sex. And I'll let you speak more to that, but what do you think, like, where can people start in terms of becoming more confident and comfortable with sex?
It's all about talking yourself in the mirror, y'all. Get naked in front of your mirror. Like I literally would get naked in high school. I'd put on Beyonce, lip gloss, dance. Like, if you don't love your body, if you don't think that you're hot, why would I think you're hot? You're the fucking baseline. So yeah, you're right. If like, you're not going to look hot. Being hot, being attractive is literally thinking you're attractive. And if you don't think you're attractive, I just told you how to fucking start thinking it, which is telling yourself that you are, like your best friend. And the thing about the mirror that's important is because I think a lot of people are like, well, when I say things to myself, I don't believe it. Well, I'm like, well, why don't you look at the person, the reflection as someone that isn't you? That's how you do it. That's not you. That's your best friend. But guess what? It is you. That's step one. Step two, it's like, I get a lot of questions about the sex thing. I don't know. I've been very sexual since I was a little girl. Like I'm very out here trying to normalize sex. Like that is just something, like we live in a very puritanical country that makes women feel ashamed. And like, that narrative has ended for me. And so I'm very much on pioneering, like, you can be a successful, well-rounded woman with a great education and career and love to fuck and talk about fucking. Sorry. Like that's literally the only reason we are here on this planet is to reproduce. So for the record, I think in terms of like, you know, like that, it starts with yourself. I also think that like having an orgasm is about you. Like if you cannot make yourself come on your own, it is not on your partner to make you come. You have to know what you like. Like I know what I like. I like being on top. I have to be on top. Mm-hmm. Like on my career, on my everything, on a dick, like everything. Okay. So like, that's like, but I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't explored my sexuality and what I like. And I think that there's that kind of weird thing with like, oh, well, you know, and it's not to say that like, you know, whoever you're having sex with should care about, you know, you finishing and your pleasure. But also saying like, speaking up. Yeah. Because this is the thing. It's like in life, it's like, what's the worst thing that can happen? You say, hey, like, I really like this. And he's like, no. Well, it's like, then get the fuck out of my bedroom. Like sex is about two people. And I think that we've been marketed in every fucking TV show that we've ever watched that it's about the man coming, but it's not. It's a two-way street. And so I think it's about communication. Everything comes down to communication. Everything. The relationship with yourself, the relationship with others, relationship, like every problem that arises in my life, it's because we didn't talk about it. It's not because when we talked about it, we didn't like what each other was saying. It was about we didn't have that conversation. Yeah. And that was like a mind-blowing moment for me. Everything, like ghosting or if there's an issue at work, it's always because people weren't transparent. And then they felt resentment or they ghost. They can't even deal with the conversation because they're too uncomfortable. But 9 times out of 10, the person's going to be super understanding and they're going to want to pleasure you. Yeah. You know? And I just think like, it's really about the relationship with yourself. You've got to masturbate. You got to do it, y'all.
Yeah. Figure out what you like and then figure out how to tell someone. Yeah. I mean, I've said it on every single episode comes back to communication. Every single topic we've covered on this podcast, on any other podcast, it's like, it is all about communication in order to have to what you want to achieve will be achieved if you learn to communicate like honestly and openly. And yeah, like no one's going to be like, no, I don't like what you said. Like everyone, we're all humans. We're all trying to figure it out and be happy and like find love, succeed, whatever we're looking for. And we're all going to be empathetic to that. And I think anytime,
some people might not be, and that's okay. And then you
know, you're not that person. Then you know, they're not your person.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like some people you might like ask someone like, you know, do you see this going somewhere? And they say, no, that's okay. Yeah. But wouldn't you rather know? Like the thing that I hate the most about dating that I've been struggling with is the in limbo, is the not knowing, you know, like not like if it's going to be in a relationship, but like, is there going to be another date? Is this going well? Like, I can't tell. Like, he's not texting, but like he was, like, I can't fucking deal with it. I hate it. I hate it. It's so
there's no worse feeling. Like that's where all of my anxiety stems from, is not knowing what's going on in my dating life.
Everyone. It's just like it's like, I'd rather you fuck me and fuck me over than like this, like, well, he's being nice today, but then he's not talking to me. Oh my God, I can't deal with it. So much. But I really do think that like silence is a message. Like, and that's why when girls are like, should I text him first? I'm like, of course you can text him first. I'm all for matching someone's energy. If he's texting you every day, then go for it. But like when I'm unsure, that's when I stop, because then I'm like, we'll see. Like if I stop reaching out, will he stop?
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel that. All right. And for everyone, let's definitely could not recommend Let's Fucking Fuck More.
Oh, yeah.
I think,
I didn't even plug my name.
Please talk about it. Tell everyone what it's about. I know I posted on the Seeing Other People's story about it, but from the creator herself.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like I created the Let's Fucking Date game during the pandemic because I just was like, it was really because I was just going on so many dates, and I like before each episode, I would just pre-write some fun questions because I was like, oh my God, I can't play like Jewish geography again. Like I can't So, I just really compiled a list, and then we were like, what if we, and then virtual dating was a thing. So I'd be like, would it be fun to spicing that up? And then really when COVID seemed to be going towards downwards, I felt, and things were opening up, then I thought like, how epic would it be to create something that would inspire intimacy and confidence in the bedroom and just be really about that physical connection. And people have really liked it so far. So you guys should definitely get it.
It's great. Love it. I'll plug a link to swipe up to in the stories and in the show notes. So definitely check that out.
Yeah.
One thing that I think comes hand in hand with confidence is happiness. Because if you feel confident about yourself and what you're doing, you're naturally more likely to feel happy. I don't know that that's scientific, but I can only imagine that it does correlate. And if you need a little bit of help with your confidence, one thing that you could definitely try is taking a Mindset Wellness CBD Happy Gummy. They taste amazing. They're really pretty. They're like a nice, fun yellow color, which gets you in the mindset already. Mindset, to be happy. They taste great. Like I said, they are gluten-free, non-GMO, vegan, organic, and you can also get 10% off and free shipping if you use the code Seeing Other People at checkout. For real though, I think that being happy is such a key in being confident. And if you can take a little gummy to be happy, why wouldn't you? Check them out, try them, let me know what you think. Okay, so one of my favorite things that I see, obviously your socials absolutely crush it, but I love on the Let's Fucking Date Instagram, that's at Let's Fucking Date, I love the fucks first sucks game. So I came up with a few scenarios that I thought we could go through together and play. So I will hit you with the situations and then you can tell me fucks or sucks and why.
Great.
All right, they double text you.
Fucks.
They ask you to be exclusive on the third date.
Sucks.
Too soon?
Way too soon. You don't know someone by the third date.
I know.
Is that what you think?
No, I totally agree. Way too soon. Absolutely. They text you right after the date saying they had a good time.
Sure. Yeah, that fucks. I wouldn't do it, but yeah.
Why the sure? Why the hesitation there?
No,
I wouldn't do it. But
they can do it to me. I wouldn't do it to them.
Yeah. Fair. The girl texts the guy first.
Depends.
Fair. They follow you on social media before the date.
Sucks so hard.
Yeah, my boyfriend did that, and I was like, "What? Why? Like, I don't know."
I went on a date, and the guy goes, "So what do you do?" And I was like, "I'm in love."
Right? Okay. Thank you. How refreshing is that? I mean, I
probably
relate to you,
but it was cute. Like he played the part.
I relate to you on that. I mean, I'm sure you're the same. Like I've had people like listen to every single episode of the podcast before going on a date with me. And it's like, they know every single thing about me and I know nothing about them. And it's just like so uncomfortable. But at least I guess they like what they heard enough to go on the date.
There you go.
They ask you out by sliding into your DMs.
But also I just want to say they aren't listening to your episodes. Like, you know what I mean? Like I thought that every guy was like watching Let's Fucking Date. Like they're fucking not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they don't care.
Yeah.
What was the question?
They ask you out by sliding into your DMs.
Sucks. I'd rather really be introduced to from a mutual. There is something a little scooby about it.
They get jealous very easily.
Sucks.
They make significantly less money than you.
Sucks. I have expensive taste, so.
There you go. They forget your name on the first date, but own up to it.
Serious. How could you forget my name?
Okay, no one's gonna forget your name, but I don't know. I have heard from people who say like someone literally called them the wrong name and was like, "Oh my God," and like actually owned up to it and was able to bounce back.
If it's like a blip, sure, but are they still dating? Probably not.
No, they ask you for your Snapchat.
I don't even like have. No,
good.
Sucks.
Yeah. That is a PSA to everyone. Do not ask for somebody's Snapchat if you're trying to date them.
It's not like a thing unless you're Gen Z and you're like 12 years old now.
Yes. Okay. And then I have a few questions from the listeners that I would love to ask. We can kind of spitfire them, go a little quick, but yeah. So how do you know it's a good time to take a break from dating apps after a cold streak?
Just listen to your intuition.
Yeah.
And also like ask your friends to set you up on dates. Like someone always has someone.
100%. And if you're asking that question, I think that's
if
your
you're
sign
asking
that
question,
now
you
you
know
know.
the answer, and that's to everything literally in life.
Yep. What is something that you're afraid to tell someone about yourself on the first few dates?
Just I'm very careful about just it's hard. It's a big persona. I really wish they wouldn't follow me on social media. That's like my major thing. But of course, when you tell them like, don't follow me, they do. So
they're gonna, it's like you can't tell someone what not to do. Then they're gonna want to do it so much more.
It's just like it makes it more intriguing. But it's really tough because it's like I'm very sex positive in my content, but like I'm not like I'm just like it's my job, man.
Right.
So that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. What is a goal you have and how do you go about reaching new goals?
A goal I have is to have my own television show. How do I go about it? I just keep creating, writing, pitching, drilling. It's all about who does the work. That's what success is. It's not talent. It's who does the fucking work.
Yeah. And I love that because you really have done the work to get to where you are. Like nobody handed it to you, anything. Do guys ever get turned off by your confidence?
Yeah, but I don't care. That means they're insecure. I'm like, that's so lame.
Would never. If they're going to be turned off, bye.
Yeah, bye.
How obvious is it when a guy is really into you? I feel like I'm not always sure.
I think you will be sure. If he wanted to, he would. Like, you just know. Like, they triple text you. They want to see you. They want to make a plan. It's just like, it's so black and white. And it's so fucking annoying when you start to realize that they're not doing it. That's when you know. But you just have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think the more dating experiences that I've had, the more I've realized, like, if I'm unsure, it's not going to work out.
It's just, or for right now, like maybe they want to relax, but like, it's like, it's not, if it has to be a fuck yes or a no. That's it. If it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. Done. Next, move on.
Absolutely. Next question. Is it mundane / boring to text somebody about how their day is going a lot?
Yeah, I really think when it comes to texting someone that you like, it's about intention. So like I texted this guy that I was seeing, we like made dinner together and I didn't have a blender and it was like a whole debacle. So I got a blender and like that felt like there was an intention there to share this inside joke that we had and that I thought he would like, that it was endearing and funny. And so it was a great back and forth, but I'm never one to text. Like there has to be an intention behind that text always.
Yeah. I think I agree with that, especially early on.
Yeah. You're busy.
Yeah, 100%. This is a great question, especially for you. I think you'll have a really good answer to this. How do you go about being brave, making life choices without a partner's support?
You are your own partner, bitch. You were born into this world alone. And by the way, like, we do not celebrate our friendships at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like we do anniversaries and engagement parties and weddings and baby showers, but we never have these parties and festivities and like love for our friends. And like, I've gotten to where I am today because of my friends. Like my roommate during the pandemic literally left me the apartment so I could do my show and run my card game business. And then when the pandemic was slowly over, she would leave every Wednesday in an Uber uptown to her parents' house and sleep there so I could do my show alone in our apartment. That is the level of like, fuck a partner. Like that is like that kind of support. And the fact that you believed in me enough that she would sacrifice that all and, pay for all those Ubers. That to me is even, more special. I don't know. Like my parents got divorced when I was very young and they're really good friends, but neither of them ever got remarried. So I just never like had that view that you need someone else to complete you. I very much grew up with the mentality of like, the only person that will make you happy is yourself and everything else is an additive. Everything else is a bonus. But like, until you see it like that, you will never be happy because you'll constantly be needing the validation of other people. And then you're
100%. Yeah. And I really appreciate the friendship thing that you brought in. I know one of my best friends and I, the way we met was like crazy, but we for years have always said like, if we don't ever meet a guy and fall in love and like create a life with them, like it might be because like she and I were meant to be soulmates and in each other's lives as friends. Sure. And like, that's at the end of the day, like that's okay because we have each other.
Yeah. My friends are my everything, like everything. Yeah. Like fuck guys. Guys are so stupid anyway. So,
all right. Before I let you go, one thing I love to ask the guests on Seeing Other People is, what do you wish that guys or people knew about dating in general?
And it's all about the self.
Yeah.
It's like you cannot, and I've said this, but it's like, I didn't know that, but I didn't realize that it's so intrinsically tied to like your own self-image. And like, there was a lot of like, I made that video that went viral. If it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. After like literally a year of being completely strung along by my quote best friend who like would say things to me like, I can't date you. I can't take it a step further because you're too important to me. Like I would I would die without you. Like you're the most important person in my life. Like such a mind fuck, but like would do all this other shit to like show, like be romantic. And like anyway, but really it's like, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. Like it's so black and white. And if you are asking the question, you know the answer. And if you, I think the problem is it's like people are so afraid of not being liked because they don't like themselves. So it confirms this belief that they already have about themselves. Oh, he doesn't like me. Of course he doesn't like me because like I'm never going to end up with someone, instead of just being like, he doesn't like me, but a lot of other people do. So we're moving on, we're moving on to someone that can actually give me that commitment. I think that's super important. But again, it's about you and the way that you view yourself. So talk to yourself in the fucking mirror, please.
Please and thank you. Hell yeah. Beautiful way to go out. Where can everyone find you? And is there anything that you're working on that you want people to know about?
Serena Kerrigan, everywhere, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and let's fucking date. And buy the card games, they're selling out. And I'm working on a new card game. So we'll see.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I cannot wait for it. Well, thank you so much for being here. To everyone who tuned in, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye guys. Thank you so much for having me.